So let's just talk about a few first steps. Again, we're not going to go too in depth here, but I wanted to mention, because it is so pertinent to content, that you need to define your target audience for your newsletter. In the previous webinars, Danny said that she suggested segmenting the target audience into 3 subsections, and that's a great idea because you're going to have more than just one mass audience. So segmenting that into 3 or even more subsets is a great idea. And then once you do that, you can ask yourself, what kind of content do they want from me? Why are they subscribing to my newsletter in the first place? And what kind of content do I want or need them to see? The thing that I'm going to add to this is this audience persona worksheet, and it is in your handout. We're not going to go through it line by line. But it's basically just an adaptation of what I made for the website content webinar. So I thought I would include it here for those of you that weren't at the website content one. I adapted it a little bit so it would be fitting to this purpose. But basically what you can do is, once you define sort of the demographics of your audience and your audience subsets, you can fill out this worksheet for each subset and sort of create a fictional character that represents that subset. So let's say one of my subsets is, art dealers. Then I would sort of imagine a fictional art dealer and fill out the worksheet, imagining who they might be, what they might be interested in, etc. And then at the end, I can actually, find a stock photo online and assign them a name and make them real to me. And that way, when I'm writing my newsletter, I don't just have to be like, oh, well, will art dealers like this? I can ask myself, oh, well, will Susan like this? Just pick a name for the person. And it helps to it's sort of like a shorthand for considering your audience, because you might have like 3 people you're considering instead of 3 like large, overwhelming categories. So it makes it a little bit more real and like closer. And so it's easier to say like, oh, well, would Susan like this? Would Lois like this? Would Howard like this? When you're writing your newsletter. And some of your target audience members, you may actually know a member of well. So maybe one of your segments is friends and family. So choose someone you already know from your friends and family to be your audience profile person. But I would still fill out the worksheet for them so you can sort of think through all of those questions about that person, and maybe get rid of it afterwards so they don't see a random profile of them somewhere in your house. Okay, so first steps, the last thing I wanted to talk about with first steps is frequency. So how often should you send out your newsletter? Now, there's not one right answer here, because every audience and every artist is different and has different needs. But if you have no idea what would be best for you and your audience at this point, before doing it and doing some testing, which we can talk about later, once a month seems to be pretty good in terms of the time commitment on your part, and also your audience, what they want, and also encouraging them to come seek you out in between newsletters, because they're going to come to your website, they're going to come to your social media, etc. So it keeps you fresh on their mind. It's regular enough that they don't forget that they subscribed, but it's not bombarding them with information or too much to take on. So I think that's a really good schedule. Now, I put this on this second bullet here, the Tuesdays and Wednesdays. I put this on the slide and then have found some contradictory things as well. I think Tuesdays and Wednesdays make sense for days to send out your newsletter. I've also seen Saturday as being a good day to send a newsletter, although some people say you get higher unsubscribes on Saturday because people have more time to like click through the button. So you can make your decision, but Tuesdays and Wednesdays seem to have high open rates for things like marketing emails. And that's because people are usually bombarded. If they work Monday through Friday, they're usually bombarded with emails from the weekend on Monday. And then, Friday, they don't really want to answer. So midweek is usually best. And then around 12 p.m. So either like right before or right after lunch is what some people said too. So I would just pick a Tuesday or a Wednesday in a certain week of the month. So let's say you're going to send your newsletter on the second Tuesday of every month. And I think that'd be a good choice. Maybe avoid the first week of the month, since a lot of people send out things the first week of the month. Maybe choose like the second or the third Tuesday or Wednesday of the month to send out your newsletter.